everybody. We love this segment. It's our NFL pick segment here at DonBest.com. Brian Blessing with Mr. Kenny White and Todd Furman. Get your pens and papers out. Here we go, folks. We do the early games. We'll start with New England at Buffalo. Pats are laying 4. Total on the game's 50.5. Far away places, this game opened 6. Dropped like a stone. Settled in at 4. I think, for me, points look like the deal here, but could you imagine, and I like the Patriots in the game, but if New England did lose this game, they'd be 1-3 and 3 games actually behind with a tiebreaker in the AFC East. A lot of football left, but that's not good.
Puts them in a little bit of a tough spot getting started. Of course, they're the best 1-2 team in the NFL right now. However, going up to Buffalo, the Bills' offensive line has been the strength of this team. They may be able to keep the Patriots at bay. I think this number is still a little bit steep where it sits at 4.
And, 2 losses by a total of 3 points, so it's not like this team has played bad football. They have been outgained, though, on the season as of this point. In Buffalo, after the first game against the Jets, the last 2, they've looked outstanding on the field both games. I think the number's a little high. I'm shocked at the 6 that went out at the beginning of the week.
Again, total 50.5. 2 teams combined for 135 points last year, the over. Minnesota and Detroit. Looking at the Lions, fellas, 4.5. Total on the game is 47.
And the only thing I can say is Detroit won both games last year. A little bit of revenge for Minnesota here. Have to feel really good about themselves beating San Francisco. I think they showed something to everybody. Maybe it was a little bit of a Frisco letdown and a Frisco travel, but still they had to win the game. Peterson looks like he's getting more healthy each week.
I have some concerns about this Minnesota secondary. San Francisco couldn't exploit him a week ago. Now, I'm worried about Matthew Stafford and his gimpy leg. At the same time, I don't see how the Vikings stop the Lions. I lay it if Stafford's healthy.
I'd say a sense of urgency for the Lions. Love the addition of LaSure. They actually have a running game now in Detroit. I'd go with Detroit. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta's laying 7. Total on the game, 48.5. Let's just start with the number. Is it inflated because of the Falcons' start?
I think perception here, and that's what you've seen so far from the Atlanta Falcons. A tremendous 3-0 start. Matt Ryan is the talk of the land. A little tougher when you take on a division foe at home. I think Carolina here, anything better than a touchdown.
Yeah, I agree. I think the number is a little inflated. This number may have been probably in the 4.5 range to begin the season if we made it before the season started. It's a regional rivalry game. Carolina has revenge. I love the way Atlanta plays in at home. Mike Smith, unbelievable cover guy.
Atlanta has gotten off to great starts, then taken their foot off the gas pedal. If the Panthers get off to a decent start here, track meet, kids, up and down like the over in the game. San Francisco and the Jets, we're looking at 3.5 and 4. Total on the game, 41.5. Niners stay in Ohio. They made that move last year, and it resulted in a win at Philadelphia. I think this is one of the better bets on the card this week. I like San Francisco in a bounce-back spot.
I think this is a good spot for San Francisco. However, I'm more inclined to look at the game under the total, even without Darrelle Revis out there for the Jets. I just don't see how Mark Sanchez finds any passing lanes against this talented San Francisco defense.
Well, if he has problems against the defense, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Be very difficult to score on this Frisco team. So I love the idea of staying back east, getting on the Eastern time zone and staying there. Keeps their body clock where it needs to be. Listening to someone last night talk about travel. It's not the first trip that usually hurts these teams. If they got to go east back-to-back times from the West Coast, they cover only 30% of the time. But Frisco doesn't really fit that category now. They're still back there.
San Diego, KC. This is a game bouncing back and forth. Who's the favorite? San Diego, a 1-point favorite. Total on the game's 44.5. Before the season, I like KC to win the division because I thought it was a weak division. As bad as KC started, they are right back in it with a win here. I'll take the Chiefs at home.
Amazing San Diego when you're looking at a football game. They're up 6-0 going in, and they get a fumble. And after that, Atlanta just destroyed them. In San Diego, it looked like they lost all their confidence. I went against Norv Turner the first week of the year because his teams are never ready in September, but he fooled me the first 2 weeks of the year, and then week 3 they came back to earth where they're supposed to be. KC, always a tough place to play. I think this is a tough game, but KC probably wins.
Prove it to me type spot. I want to see these two teams go head-to-head. Don't really have a strong opinion either way in this contest.
And I'm like you on the Tennessee-Houston game, Todd. No play for me. Fellas, have at it. Houston laying 12. Total on the game is 45. Titans get a crazy win last week. Houston off to a great start.
A double-digit divisional dog. I think the only way to look at this game is the Titans. The one major concern, they can't stop anybody from running the football. Not the recipe you need to slow down the dynamic duo of Arian Foster and Ben Tate. However, the Texans look good against Denver. I think a little bit of a flat spot. Texans win, but probably not enough to cover.
I think this Houston team could have been in the Super Bowl last year if Matt Schaub didn't go down with an injury because they were amazing with T.J. Yates at quarterback. It was a 6-point drop-off from Schaub to Yates, but Houston continued to win. They got in the playoffs. They won a playoff game with Yates at quarterback. The offensive line is, I think, one of the most underrated in all football. I think they are the top offensive line in football. I don't think Tennessee can stop this running game.
Seattle at St. Louis. If you like defense, you'd like this, but I don't know if you like defense or you like struggling offenses. Seattle's 2.5 or 3 total on this game, fellas. It's low, 39 or 40.5. I guess I'd go with the home dog here. A little letdown spot for Seattle off the goofy win over Green Bay.
Well, they don't get to bring their own officials with them this game to St. Louis, so it may be a little bit more difficult contest for them. Plus, Seattle has always been a team, bet on them at home and bet against them on the road, and this is a great situation coming off a Monday night win and then traveling to St. Louis. I think that Seattle goes through the motions here. St. Louis gets the win.
I agree. I think St. Louis, perfect spot to catch Seattle. Wanted a 3 in this game. Don't think I'll get it. Don't really believe that the points will come into play. St. Louis gets the win outright.
All right, there you have it. For Todd Furman, Kenny White, I'm Brian Blessing. There's a look at the early games in the NFL. And don't forget, you can get our Don Best consensus selections, a winner in all 3 weeks to start the NFL season. It's available to you on the Handicappers page here at donbest.com.